It was strange to be so close to the light above, yet still so far away. While there were many amongst the crew that wished to see the light, there were just as many that feared its caress. It was a surprisingly comfortable sleep on our trusty new vessel. The rest of the canal awaited us, as did much of the western coast. What secrets await? The springs in this typewriter coil in excitement with the thought of the tales to come. The first task after stepping off the sea shower was to gather a port report. It seemed it was business as usual here. The gates open and shut, the locks remain free from sabotage. If anywhere besides London is safe in all the undersea, it's here. The surface nations have an interest in keeping the way open. As I gathered information, I heard gossip of the surface. The ships of the surface linger here. This is their lifeline to a warmer place. Where I stood would be the prime spot for a pub or a wine shop. But the interests of the Echo Bazaar and the laws of London prevent it. They don't like competition. Still, there are temporary half-legal hostelries in long-moored ships. Here, I traded stories with sun-tanned surface sailors. Stories of Paris and Batavia, the lost fires, and the final isles. I carried with me now a vision of the surface. While Gator's morn was close, so too was the rest of the western shore. We had more than enough fuel, and the sea shower was eager to stretch its legs. She glided effortlessly through the dark waters of the sea. Just off the bow, I could make out a disturbance in the water, the tumultuous maelstrom known as Adam's Tomb. The morning following, sizzling vapors rose from the sea. Time slipped sideways somewhere close by. A coil of rope has strung a stoker, and his fellows beat it to death. We were under the hand of the Iron Republic now, and under the gaze of one of their vessels. With a great many oars, they steered towards us as the sea shower raced to Van Horn Harbour. I was confident in the engine's capabilities, yet there was a close call. An ominous lump of iron landing close by, but we had made it. Hell's client state. One must be wary here, as the laws of the Iron Republic are not the laws of man or nature. Factory engines roared like false lions. Blood thundered in the dock pipes. Crimson lightning skittered across the deck, leaping to the rails, curling there like a cat. The city was reflected in the glassy, calm waters of the harbour. The citizens here have the heads of dogs and serpents. Hell has brought freedom for the Iron Republic, freedom from all laws, even those of nature. As ever, I sought to compile a report. It would not be entirely straightforward, however. The streets won't lie straight, and my ink freezes whenever I look away from the inkwell. But, alas, to recall the Republic's events is like trying to sing wax or believe water. I did what I could. In the third paragraph here, Bud's eyes. The date was fundamentally wrong. The full stops bite. I did what I could. I somehow felt duller, yet I had gained a tale or two, as difficult as they would be to tell. While on shore, I happened upon a market of hungers, the Parliament of Flies. You see, the Market of Hungers, with its spires and sigils, it surely was a parody of the bazaar. Today, flies fill its arcades. Buzz, buzz. Here I could buy both linen and fuel for remarkably good prices. The linen less so than the fuel, but I could still pay to have a few in our hold. As for the fuel, I would top up as much as I dared. We waited till the moment was right for us to make our escape from the harbor. We had further south to travel yet, more coastline to seek. With our lights off, we could avoid the great vessels of the Iron Republic. The sea shower would not be caught this day. In the darkness, we spied a spire, an old castle lost to molten rock. Castle Clair still stood in parts. Much of its form lost to time and heat, however. Not far south of the castle, I came onto the deck to find the metal sharp with sparks. Ozone coronas haunted the ship. We were nearing dawn's edge, but before it stood something grand and old. A geode of unimaginable size, a distant song like a mirage. The geode was a naval base with the Royal Navy's emblems curiously amended. Here, efficiently bright-eyed women and men worked briskly everywhere we looked. They were half-singing hymns with unfamiliar words. Hard-faced Royal Marines watched us carefully, barring entry to the geode's heart. A plaque by the docks had been defaced with orange paint, but I could still make out the original inscription. Station 5, adjunct. Surely a report here would be worthwhile. Does the Admiralty know of the geode? Would they want to know? I took discreet notes. The Marines were watching. I needed something, answers, and so sought out the Commodore, who shook my hand warmly. He was a handsome, open-faced fellow in an immaculate Navy uniform. His office was equally handsome. It overlooked the glittering interior crystal cliff. It must be as well lit as any study in the Neath. He deflected questions about the purpose of this installation, classified, you know, but smilingly offered me tea, biscuits, and mineralogical anecdotes. The biscuits were good, but the anecdotes rather blended one into the next. I found myself nodding, and then suddenly waking. The Commodore was smiling. My cup was empty. I felt well. Very well, in fact. A little euphoric, even. "Come back soon," he said softly. I felt so much lighter. My memory of the conversation was a little hazy. Yes, I felt within me a new yearning. While leaving the study, a dark, spectacled woman marched right up to me in some haste. "Captain, take me with you. I am no longer welcome here, and I will show you where we need to go. Here I am. A ship, I suppose, is both always here and never there, because there becomes here." She had a discomforting, even irritating habit of answering my questions just before I finished speaking. I shared with her some of my tale, but she said little. Each word is placed like a pin in a map. This Carnalian exile certainly was an enigma, and perhaps if I could gain one, I might just learn more. I felt for the moment we had traveled as far south as we might. Gaida's Morn still waited for us to the northeast, and there was still many a league of dark, unknown waters ahead of us. Whilst moving through the unknown, that nightmare found me again, the eye beneath me. I dove further into the nightmare, facing it head on. I would not run from it now, and as I awoke, I swore to face it again. February 20th, 1888. The mists of the Sea of Autumn get into the eyes, the heart. It's not unusual to find oneself in unexpected tears. As the mists parted, aisles of mangroves could be seen. I had heard tale of the Mangrove College. The wise and wicked sought sanctuary there, where the fruits are plenty and the woods are wild. It was a streaming sprawl of parasynthetic vegetation, and a village, barely a village. Hulled walls, roofs in disrepair, stilts leaning dangerously. It looked to have been assembled by drunks in a hurry. We would dock carefully. I made note of sages, scholars, philosophers, naturalists, poets, dreamers. They came here to pursue their rarefied ideals in a land of muddy fecundity. The thinkers of the Mangrove College continue their troubled and sedentary existence. New schools of philosophy are born and die like bubbles. Extraordinary poetries are written in water. The occasional retired pirate tries and fails to get invited to salons. Our supplies were getting a little lower. We didn't have much time to stop and rest, but we could gather plenty of supplies. The college members would grumble, but there's enough to go around. The crew stripped a stretch of shoreline bare. It'll have burgeoned again by the next week, no doubt. 5 extra supplies would take us far. Yet our activities had gained a little attention. A would-be officer approached.
Hello, where are you headed? On second thought, I don't mind. Can I come aboard? Yes, I'm an engineer, but I'm an engineer in a hurry. Oh, if anyone comes looking for me, well, I'm not accepting callers. Can I trust you to just pass that on? You don't want them distracting me from my duties now, do you?
Yet another crew member, and one that I did not yet trust entirely. But she did seem to know her way around the engines. The rest of the crew had taken to her. She seemed rather hard to dislike. She had a smile, a wink, a butterfly tattoo, and an intense and detailed knowledge of weaponry and engines, of which the sea showers seemed to be humming a new and pleasant tune. Next came passengers. The Mangrove College is named for its scholars and philosophers. Here, though, they have long since abandoned civilized comforts for the life of the mind. Sometimes they want those civilized comforts back. A shady sort boarded.
The Corsair's Forest Place. Gators Morn. No, I'm not in a hurry, but I think I might stay below decks. I don't carry the fee on me. You'll have to trust me for it when we arrive. Thank you. A pleasure.
We were heading to the Morn, after all. I would be certain that once we arrive, they would pay for their way. I'm not quite sure how. Perhaps it was the time in the Geode, but it had slipped my mind that the Admiralty had a contact here. An enigmatic gentleman who lived a relatively comfortable life in the largest hut here. He wouldn't see me without an appointment, but the Admiralty had arranged just that. Once inside the hut, one might imagine themselves back in London. Bright candlelight, thick carpets, a little spotted with damp, even wallpaper similarly spotted. 2 philosophers waited on us both, a little sulkily. The enigmatic gentleman would say nothing until we'd both finished eating dinner. A fine meal, if an eclectic one. Cavern trout, swamp fruits, spices from Adam's Way and the Wither, served on a delft ware at a lacquered Ming table. When we were done, he gave me a carefully itemized list of ship sightings, some excellent port, and a little something to take away. Remember me to the Admiral, he said fondly. I had the information the Admiralty wanted, and mutasalt. Supposedly, it tasted like clean air and crystallized ginger. It also had the interesting property of paralyzing the vocal cords if you sprinkled it in stew. Finally came an opportunity for adventure, the Wisp ways. The swamps around the village are full of mud, crocodiles, and vegetable treasures, including the notorious parasite called Sunless fruit. The fogs and spreading branches occlude all light. We carried with us a foxfire candle and had enough supplies to make a start. Raising our lanterns high, we entered narrow waterways and quaggy paths, marsh lights and mud, now and then parasynthetic mosses like shaggy curtains, now and then a questing tentacle. As much as I wished to carry on, we would need more light with us yet. Enough was enough. We were more mud than flesh, but in time, we would return here. The Wisp ways would be explored. With a start, the sea shadow sprung into life, but before leaving the region, we would venture further into the melting isles, before leaving the newly found swallowing isles behind us. Not far from Massey's shaft, a pirate frigate caught sight of us. Now was an opportunity to test our might. With our 2 cannons firing, the frigate stood little chance. While she was a vile old vessel, we would take what we could. We gained both supplies and fuel, and a cache of curiosities. A bolt of parabola linen, a prize well earned. We navigated well through the Corsair forest, the morn safely in sight. The shady sort we carried with us inhaled the air and smiled. Perhaps for the first time, less mud, more rum. Business was concluded. At the winch head, a deferential fellow in frustration waited. He bowed to the shady sort. A pleasure as ever. Me, he barely favored with a glance. He pressed a heavy purse into my hand. Small coins stained with salt water, but together they amount to a tidy sum. Well worth our trouble. And while writing of trouble, I now sought out our package. Now, from a Shivering Corsair.
Oh God, they're cold. Take them from me. Take them. Where's my money? Don't you cheat me. Take them. But I want my money.
I handed over the 1,000 echoes for the unstamped crate of brilliant souls.
Oh, I feel it lifting. It's gone for me. You never saw me.
We had the Bruiser's cargo, safe and sound. While we were here, I sought to explore, if not a little more. Far up a crag, I turned to find a long, lank, brown man at my shoulder.
Listen,
He said.
I have a story for you.
Something about the greybeard compelled my attention. His story had a wedding full of murders and a leafless forest, and a vast serpent which eats souls. The tale wound on and on like the serpent, until I was lost in the dizzying toils of its sinister ships and glamorous corpses. I awoke to find him gone, but not, it seems, before searching my pockets for small change. It was a tale of terror for an echo or two. From here, it was a quick trip north, towards the salt lines, and then finally back to London. The sea shower's maiden voyage had gone far better than I expected. Its hull now frankly overflowing with competent crew. While looking across their content faces, a lookout shouted, breaking the moment. Far above, the false stars in the cavern roof were shifting, a rare and ominous event. What now? I sought to record the change and assign a name. If the new shape seems well omened, the crew may be cheered. Who knows? It could go either way. It was a sea bat.
Bats his luck!
A gap-toothed stoker shouted. All agree, leathery but lucky. And so it was that luck led us towards yet another pirate frigate. Just to the east of the Lions, their ship would fall under the black smoke of the sea shower. Scuttling her, we gained both supplies and fuel again, and a cache of further supplies, hardtack and water. Safely at the Lions, we would gather another hold full. Then it was the home stretch. London beckoned. Home waters once again. Sailors waited at the rail, the lights of London warming our very souls. And there, waiting for us with warm congratulations, was the Bruiser. We were paid in full yet again, echo fuel and supplies. I had in me now a confidence like never before. No doubt the Bruiser and the Admiralty would have more desires. That would give us direction and purpose. Yet my purpose remained the same. Those old bones would be found. One good tale, one Z story was all I needed to move Mr. Huffman to action. All that I have typed thus far, this very tale, it is not yet enough, but in time it will be. The crew were eager for their shore time. I gave them leave, remaining on the sea shower, alone for a time. How far I had come, and how much further yet there was to go. My map was more complete than ever, yet so much of the Z was still a mystery. Every day, a new adventure. Nightmares be damned. I was living my dream.